Good morning, ladies. My apologies. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the 888 Holdings PLC Annual General Meeting. Throughout this meeting, attendees will be in listen-only mode. Questions are encouraged and can be submitted at any time using the Q&A tab situated on the right-hand corner of your screen. Please just simply type in your question and press send. The company may not be in a position to answer every question it receives during the meeting itself. However, the company will review all questions submitted today and publish responses where it is appropriate to do so. These will be available via your Investor Meet company dashboard. I would also like to remind you that this meeting is being recorded. I'd now like to hand over to Lord John Mendelsohn, Chairman of 888 Group. Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning to everyone, and thank you for joining us. It is now 9 a.m. BST, and I'm delighted to welcome you to the 2021 Annual General Meeting of 888 Holdings Public Limited Company. Due to travel and access restrictions still in force due to the COVID-19 outbreak, the principal location of this meeting is where I, the Chairman, am located, being the Office of Virtual Marketing Services (UK) Limited at 3rd floor, Clearwater House, 4-7 Manchester Street, London W1 U3AE, with satellite locations linked by video conference to the principal meeting location at the offices of 888 Holdings PLC at Suite 601 to 701 Europort Road, Gibraltar, and of Random Logic Limited at 85A Madinat HaYehudim Street, Herzliya, Israel. The board is looking forward to being able to welcome shareholders to physically attend 888 annual general meetings when circumstances once again permit. However, health concerns are paramount, and in light of the evolving COVID-19 situation and following due consideration, shareholders have not been permitted to attend this meeting in person. I am, however, pleased to welcome shareholders who have chosen to follow the proceedings of the meeting on the online Investor Meet Company platform. Shareholders are invited to submit over the online platform any questions in respect of the business of the meeting for the board to consider. The board will aim to respond to these questions relevant to the business of the meeting, which have been submitted in advance or during the meeting over the online platform. Shareholders wishing to vote at the meeting have been strongly encouraged to do so by completing a form of proxy or form of direction as appropriate. Shareholders are not able to vote over the online platform. Before dealing with the formal business, I would like to take this opportunity to express my gratitude to my predecessor as chairman, Brian Mattingly, for his many years of outstanding and excellent service to 888, and to wish him well in his new role. I should like to introduce you to my colleagues. Anna Kirkov, Senior Independent Director, Itai Pazner, Chief Executive Officer, Yariv Dufner, Chief Financial Officer, Mark Summerfield, Independent Non-Executive Director, and Limor Ganot, Independent Non-Executive Director. Speaker Zivlin has given notice to the board that he will not offer himself re-election at this meeting in order to focus on his other commitments. The board sincerely thanks Speaker for his excellent service to the company and commitment since his appointment, and wishes him well in his future endeavours. The business of the meeting is set out in the notice of annual general meeting, and with your approval, I would like to take notice of the meeting as read. Is that agreeable? Thank you. I will now explain the procedures for dealing with today's business. During the meeting, resolutions will be proposed before they are put to the meeting. Any questions from the floor must be asked when business is on the table. The board will respond to questions asked over the Investor Meet Company platform, which are relevant to the business of the meeting at the time of the reading of the relevant resolution. Only shareholders can ask questions. The meeting can only consider matters detailed in the notice of meeting, and in accordance with Article 99 of the company's Articles of Association, I, as chairman, demand that all resolutions put to the meeting be decided by poll, and only shareholders or their proxies may vote. And the scrutineers today will be our legal advisors, Herzog, Fox, and Nima. In accordance with Article 106 of the company's Articles of Association, every shareholder shall have one vote for each share of which they are the registered holder. If shares are held in joint names, then only the first named shareholder may vote. Regarding shareholders who have sent a form of proxy to the company's registrars appointing me to vote on their behalf, I will vote on each motion in the manner instructed on their forms of proxy, or where the form is left blank, at my discretion. Votes cast will be verified against the register of members, and the results of each poll will be announced as soon as possible and will be published on the company's website. The necessary quorum now being present, I now declare the annual general meeting open. The first item of business is to receive the annual report and accounts 2020. I now call upon EY to confirm the contents of the report of the auditors to the members as set out in the annual report and accounts 2020.
Mr. Chairman, I confirm.
Thank you. The report and accounts in respect of the year ended 31st of December 2020 have been circulated and available to members for the statutory period, and I therefore propose as an ordinary resolution that the annual reports and accounts for the period ended 31st of December 2020 and the reports of the directors and auditors thereon be and are hereby received and approved. Before putting the resolution to the vote, I will address any shareholder questions on the report and accounts. There being no questions, I will now put the motion to receive the report and accounts to the vote. Directors attending holding shares may vote on the resolution. Those who are voting in favour, please indicate. For those against, the motion is passed. We will now consider the approval of the remuneration policy other than that part containing the approval of the remuneration report other than that part containing the remuneration policy. May I remind shareholders that the remuneration report is being prepared on a voluntary basis, and I propose that as an ordinary resolution that the remuneration report other than that part containing the remuneration policy contained in the annual report and accounts 2020 be and is hereby approved. Before putting the resolution to the vote, I will address any shareholder questions on the remuneration report. There being no further questions, I will now put the motion to approve the remuneration report other than that part containing the remuneration policy to the vote. Director attendees holding shares may vote on this resolution. Those in favour, those against, the motion is passed. We will now consider the approval of the revised remuneration policy. May I remind shareholders that the revised remuneration policy has been prepared on a voluntary basis. In addition, the vote is advisory in nature, meaning that obligations to make payments to directors will continue to be enforceable in the event that the vote is not passed, and neither the board nor individual directors are legally bound by the remuneration policy. I propose, as an ordinary resolution, that the revised remuneration policy contained in the annual report and accounts 2020 be and is hereby approved. Before putting the resolution to the vote, I will address any shareholder questions on the remuneration policy. There being no questions, I will now put the motion to approve the remuneration policy to the vote. Director attendees holding shares may vote on this resolution. All those in favour? All those against? The motion is passed. As required by the Articles of Association of the company, all of the directors are retiring and certain continuing directors are standing for election or re-election this year. These are the resolutions numbered 4 to 9. I propose the election or re-election of each of the directors set out in the notice of meeting, each as an ordinary resolution. And that is that Anne de Kerkhove, Mark Summerfield and Itai Pasner, recommended as directors by the board, be and are hereby re-elected as directors of the company. And that John Mendelsohn, Limor Ganot and Yariv Dafna, recommended as directors by the board, be and are hereby elected as directors of the company. Before putting the resolutions to the vote, I will address any shareholder questions on the election and re-election of directors. Being no questions, I now put the motions to elect and re-elect the directors as set out in the notice of the meeting to the vote. Director attendees holding shares may vote on the resolution. Those votes in favour, those against, the motion is passed. The next matter is resolution number 10, that Ernst & Young LLP and EY Limited Gibraltar be and are hereby reappointed as auditors for the purposes of meeting the company's statutory requirements under section 257 of the Gibraltar Companies Act as amended, and the filing of the company's financial statements in Gibraltar pursuant to section 258 of the Gibraltar Companies Act as amended. I propose the passing of resolution number 10 as set out in the notice of meeting as an ordinary resolution of the company. Before putting the resolution to the vote, I will address any shareholder questions on the reappointment of the auditors. There being none, I will now put the motion to reappoint Ernst & Young LLP and EY Limited Gibraltar as the company's auditors to the vote. Director, attendees holding shares may vote on the resolution. All those votes in favour? Against? The motion is passed. The next matter is Resolution 11, that the Audit Committee is authorised to agree the remuneration of the auditors. I propose the passing of Resolution number 11 as set out in the notice of meeting as an ordinary resolution of the company. Before putting the resolution to the vote, I will address any shareholder questions on the remuneration of the auditors. There being none, I will now put the motion to authorise the Audit Committee to agree the remuneration of the auditors to the vote. Director attendees holding shares may vote on the resolution. Those votes in favour? Those votes against? The motion is now passed. The next matter is Resolution number 12, to declare a final dividend of 10.4 cents per ordinary share payable on the 24th of May 2021 to those shareholders on the register of members of the company as at close of business on the 26th of March 2021 in accordance with the recommendation of the directors. I propose the passing of resolution number 12 as set out in the notice of the meeting as an ordinary resolution of the company. Before putting the resolution to the vote, I will address any shareholder questions on the payment of the final dividend. There being no questions, I now put the motion to declare the final dividend as recommended by the directors to the vote. Director attendees holding shares may vote on the resolution. Those votes in favour? Those against? The motion is passed. The next matter is Resolution number 13, to declare an additional one-off dividend of 1.6 cents per ordinary share payable on 24th May 2021 to those shareholders on the register of members of the company as at close of business on 26th of March 2021 in accordance with the recommendation of the directors. I propose the passing of resolution number 13 as set out in the notice of meeting as an ordinary resolution of the company. Before putting the resolution to the vote, I will address any shareholder questions on the payment of the additional one-off dividend. There being no questions, I will now put the motion to declare the additional one-off dividend as recommended by the directors to the vote. Director attendees holding shares may vote on the resolution. Those votes in favour? Those against? The motion is passed. Resolution 14 is to renew the directors' authority to allot relevant securities in line with UK institutional shareholder guidelines. Paragraph A1 of the resolution will allow the directors to allot relevant securities up to a maximum nominal amount of £618,527.46, representing approximately 1/3, 33.33% of the company's ordinary share capital in issue as at 31st March 2021. In accordance with the institutional guidelines issued by the Investment Association, paragraph A2 of the resolution will allow directors to allot, including the relevant securities referred to in paragraph A1, further of the company's shares in connection with a preemptive offer by way of a rights issue up to a maximum nominal amount of £1,237.54.92, representing approximately 2/3, 66.66% of the company's ordinary share capital in issue as at 31st March 2021. This authority will expire upon the earlier of 1, the conclusion of the next annual general meeting of the company after passing this resolution, and 2, 30 June 2022. I note that the directors have no present intention of exercising this authority and that the company does not hold any shares in treasury. I propose the passing of resolution number 14 as set out in the notice of meeting as an ordinary resolution of the company. Before putting the resolution to the vote, I will address any shareholder questions on the power to issue shares. There being no questions, I will now put the motion to authorise the board to allot relevant securities as set out in the notice of meeting to the vote. Director attendees holding shares may vote on the resolution. Those votes in favour? Those against? The motion is passed. I will now turn to special business to be considered at the meeting. Resolution number 15 seeks to authorise the company to make market purchases of its ordinary shares subject to the conditions set out in the notice of meeting. This authority will expire upon the earlier of 1, the conclusion of the next annual general meeting of the company after passing this resolution, and 2, 30th of June 2022, save that the company may, before such expiry, make a contract to purchase shares under this authority, which is concluded in whole or in part after the expiry of this authority, and the company may purchase its ordinary shares in pursuance of any such contract as if the power conferred hereby had not expired. I note that the directors have no present intention of exercising this authority. I propose as a special resolution, resolution number 15 as set out in the notice of meeting. Before putting the resolution to the vote, I will address any shareholder questions on the authority to buy back shares. There being no questions, I will now put the motion to authorise the company to make market purchases of its ordinary shares as set out in the notice of meeting to the vote. Director attendees holding shares may vote on the resolution. Those votes in favour, those against, the motion is passed. Resolution number 16 seeks to renew the general authority of the directors to allot certain equity securities for cash, as if Articles 19 to 26 of the company's Articles of Association did not apply to any such allotments, in line with the latest UK institutional shareholder guidelines. This authority would expire upon earlier of 1, the conclusion of the next annual general meeting of the company after passing this resolution, and 2, 30 June 2022, save that the company may before such expiry make an offer or agreement which would or might require equity securities to be allotted after such expiry, and the board may allot equity securities in pursuance of such an offer or agreement as if the power conferred hereby had not expired. I note the directors have no present intention of exercising this authority. Apart from the rights issue or any other preemptive offer concerning equity securities, the authority proposed under this resolution would allow directors to issue shares for cash up to a maximum aggregate nominal amount of £92,788.40, representing 18,557,680 ordinary shares, approximately 5% of the company's ordinary share capital in issue as at 31 March 2021, without being first required to offer such shares to its existing shareholders. I note that the directors do not intend to issue more than 7.5% of the issued ordinary share capital of the company for cash on a non-preemptive basis in any rolling 3-year period, other than in connection with an acquisition or specified capital investment as described in the preemption group statement of principles, without prior consultation with shareholders. I propose as a special resolution, resolution number 16, as set out in the notice of meeting. Before putting the resolution to the vote, I will address any shareholder questions on the power to disapply preemption rights. There being no questions, I will now put the motion to empower the board to disapply preemption rights as set out in the notice of meeting to the vote. Director attendees holding shares may vote on the resolution. Those votes in favour, those against, the motion is passed. Resolution number 17 requests further shareholder approval by way of a separate special resolution in line with the best practice guidance by the preemption group for the directors to allot equity securities for cash without being first required to offer such securities to existing shareholders. The proposed resolution reflects the preemption group 2015 statement of principles for the disapplication of preemption rights and will expire on 30 June 2022 or at the conclusion of the next annual general meeting of the company after the passing of this resolution, whichever is the earlier. The authority granted by this resolution, if passed, will be limited to the allotment of equity securities up to an aggregate nominal amount of £92,788.40, representing 18,557,680 ordinary shares, being approximately 5% of the issued share capital of the company as at 31st March 2021, and will only be used in connection with an acquisition or other capital investment of a kind contemplated by the statement of principles and which is announced contemporaneously with the allotment or has taken place in the preceding 6-month period and is disclosed in the announcement of the allotment. The authority granted by this resolution would be in addition to the general authority to disapply preemption rights under Resolution 17. The maximum nominal value of equity securities which could be allotted if both authorities were to be used would be £185,576.80, representing 37,115,359 ordinary shares, being approximately 10% of the issued ordinary share capital of the company as at 31st of March 2021. I propose as a special resolution, resolution number 17, as set out in the notice of meeting. Before putting the resolution to the vote, I will address the shareholder questions on the additional power to disapply preemption rights. There being no questions, I will now put the motion to provide additional authority to the board to disapply preemption rights as set out in the notice of meeting, to the vote. Director attendees holding shares may vote on the resolution. All those votes in favour? Those against? The motion is passed. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the business of the 2021 Annual General Meeting of your company. I therefore declare the formal meeting closed. Many thanks for your participation and for attending, and I wish you well. Anything further, we have had no questions that I need to answer or place on the company's website, but I thank you for attending and look forward to another year of continuing success for the company. Thank you.
Lord Mendelsohn, thank you very much, and indeed thank you to the directors and other members of the board coming in from various offices from Gibraltar, Israel and in France. Could I please ask attendees not to close this session, as you'll now be automatically redirected for the opportunity to provide feedback in order that the board can better understand your views and expectations. This will only take a few moments to complete and will be greatly valued by the company. On behalf of the board of 888 Holdings PLC, we'd like to thank you for attending today's annual general meeting. That now concludes today's session. Good morning to you all.